Hi guys, welcome back. So I'm sure you've heard lawyers talking about how smart contracts are going to eradicate traditional contracts as we know them, and that smart contracts are these wonderful things that are going to change the way the law is practiced. And in reality, I also thought the same thing when I was reading a lot of literature, and lawyers love literature. And that's not necessarily a good definition of what a smart contract is, especially if you're talking to developers on the Ethereum blockchain or blockchain developers, if you will. And their definition from a book, it's called Introducing Ethereum and Solidity. Their definition is when developers speak of writing smart contracts, they're typically referring to the practice of writing code in the Solidity language, which is a programming language, to be executed on the Ethereum network. When the code is executed, units of value may be transferred as neatly as data. So what a smart contract is essentially is you or me say we have a legal background. I have a legal background. I don't know if you do. We have legal background. We decide we want to learn how to code. We code. Say we use Microsoft Virtual Environment, or we use whatever we're using to code. We draft our code. We've done drafting the code. We compile the code, and then we deploy it onto the Ethereum blockchain. So again, we draft the code similar to the way we would draft, say, a contract, and then we compile it, check for errors and stuff, and then we just deploy it onto the Ethereum blockchain, which will execute it. So it's a similar process in how we would do traditional contracts, in that we draft the contract, we check for errors, right? So we make the code using Solidity, right? Similar to how we draft a contract. Then we check for errors, so debugging and compiling, and then we deploy, we execute the contract, right? So it's a similar process in that sense. Here's what a smart contract would look like. Um, if you're interested, this is a smart contract I wrote, right? So I'm currently compiling it and fixing it. So I'm using Remix to, it's an Ethereum IDE, which I'm currently using. And it's been a fun process learning about smart contracts and drafting them, because for me, I've always been searching about how to draft smart contracts. What programming languages am I supposed to use? After I learned Python and JavaScript, and I did a bit of HTML and CSS, but mainly I did Python and JavaScript, and obviously Django with Python. But I wanted to know a computer programming language which would be fun for an attorney, and Solidity is a great one. I haven't tried Prolog, I probably will, but hopefully you understand what a smart contract is, and it's not necessarily what you think it is, especially once you start learning about Solidity and coding in Solidity. You'll real and using Remix, you'll really realize that actually what lawyers say smart contracts are and what developers say they are tend to be quite different depending on who you're asking. And lawyers tend to focus on theory, and they love literature. But if you ask them to make a smart contract for you, I'm sure probably zero lawyers will make a smart contract for you. That just goes to show, um, be careful when you're listening about tech changing the legal environment. Thanks, guys.